This is Jonathan. You're listening to The Plunge, where we have a quick immersion in the facets of a movie that make it great. Today, we're going to take a look at villains and what makes them successful. Specifically, we're going to take a look at round and flat villains by diving into Ryan Coogler's Black Panther and Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight. Generally speaking, the primary conflict in every story is between your protagonist and your antagonist. Your protagonist is typically a round character, as the audience needs to be invested in them in order for the plot to be successful. This means we have an understanding of the character's history and what motivates them. This allows us, the audience, to relate to them and understand them. The point of the antagonist is to directly challenge the protagonist and force them to grow or change in some manner over the central plot device of the story. The antagonist will typically be a static character, though there are exceptions. Think Darth Vader. But that doesn't mean that they can't be round. A great example of a flat villain is the Joker, as portrayed by the late great Heath Ledger in Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight. The viewpoint of the story's protagonist that needs to change is spoken very plainly towards the beginning of the movie by Alfred Pennyworth, who is played by the great Michael Caine. Some men just want to watch the world burn. Bruce Wayne starts off the movie with the view that all criminals are in it for the money, and it's the Joker's job in the story to change that. The Joker, though masterfully acted, is a one-note character. He wants to break Batman. This single-mindedness is what drives Batman to become the Dark Knight. Specifically, when Nolan breaks the inviolable rule where the hero saves the day. When Wayne manages to save Dent, but Rachel dies because the Joker lied about where she was located. In this story, a flat character is exactly what was needed. We know nothing about this Joker. We don't know what drives him. We don't understand anything about him other than he is ruthless and an agent of sheer chaos. And that's what makes him a great character. The Joker isn't supposed to be sympathetic. He's supposed to be terrifying. That's the villain Batman needed to get him to become the Dark Knight. One who just wants to watch the world burn. In Ryan Coogler's Black Panther, the villain required a more nuanced approach because the story was more about an ideology, and it had to be personal for the protagonist. The linchpin of Black Panther is Wakandan isolationism, and everyone in the movie has a different viewpoint regarding it. The protagonist, T'Challa, played by the late great Chadwick Boseman, believes that isolationism is the only thing keeping his country safe, mostly because he believed his father to be infallible. Not even his love interest, Nakia, can change his mind on this matter. That's the job of the antagonist. Erik Killmonger, played by Michael B. Jordan, is about as round and sympathetic as a villain gets. We get to see the events that led to Killmonger becoming who he is. The death of his father at his own uncle's hands, after his time in America, radicalized his father. We get to revisit the relationship between Killmonger and his father once Erik ingests the heart-shaped herb. It is important that Killmonger isn't an outsider. He's literally family, and is a direct result of their isolationism, as T'Challa comes to realize. This is important because Killmonger actually wins the intellectual argument of the film, as can be seen by T'Challa telling his father that they were wrong for turning their backs on the rest of the world, and calling Killmonger a monster of their own making. With the audience invested in both T'Challa and Killmonger, the ending battle becomes more tense, and the ending as Erik tells T'Challa to bury him in the ocean with the rest of his ancestors who jumped from the ships because they knew that death was better than bondage, and choosing to die rather than being healed becomes heart-wrenching. Killmonger needed to be round in order for the conflict to be personal. The audience needed Killmonger's backstory as a way to show how T'Challa's stance was wrong. It needed to be personal to be effective, and the audience needed to be on Killmonger's side as much or more as they were on T'Challa's. Just to iterate again, saying one form of a villain, flat or round, is better than the other is a mistake. The villain simply needs to match the source of conflict in the story. There are truly terrible examples on both sides, but let's roll both into one, just for fun. In the Whedon cut of the Justice League. Steppenwolf is a flat villain, single-minded, only seeking to blow up the planet for whatever reason. In the Snyder cut of the film, we get a backstory to Steppenwolf and learn that he's trying to redeem himself to Darkseid. But it's still awful. In each case, the villain doesn't accomplish anything meaningful plot-wise, which is mostly because the plot was about as flat as a plot can get. There's no central argument, no character development, and nothing to get the audience to invest in not only the heroes, but the villains either. Thanks for listening to The Plunge. We'll see you next time. This is Jonathan, signing out.